Shall I start?
So, welcome everyone to the second session of 6 months course of learning Bhagavad Gita. So, we'll start with the prayers. Yeah. Yes, sir. You can start.
ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरन्दस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुन्मिलितं तन्येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वां पदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरः श्रीयुतपदकलं श्रीगुरवैष्णवांश श्रीरूपं सङ्ग्रजातं सहगणरङ्गनाथां दन्तं सजीवम् साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगणललिता श्रीविशाखामिदांश नमो ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णापृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामी इति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे वाञ्छाकल्पकृपसिन्धुभयवत् पतितानां पावनेयो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमो महाबुद्धाय कृष्णप्रेमपदायते कृष्णाय कृष्णचैतन्य नाम्ने गौरतसे नमः। पञ्चतत्त्वात्मकं कृष्णं भक्तरूपस्वरूपकं भक्त्यावतारं भक्त्याख्यं नमामि भक्तशक्तिकम्। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपीसा गोपीकांता राधा कांता नमोस्तुते जय तुम संगुर पंगुर मम मंत मतिर्गति मत्सर्वस्य पदं भोज राधा मदन मोहनम दिव्या वृंदारण्य कल्प द्रुमद श्रीमत् रत्नाकरासिंहासनास्त श्रीमद् राधा शील गोविंद देव ब्रस्ताली भी सेवा मनो स्वरामी श्रीमन्रसारसारम्भी वांसेवटतस्थिता कर्षण्वेर्नरस्वानिर्गोपीर्गोपीनाथाय श्रीस्थिना ताप्तकाञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी विश्वभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। श्री जगन्नाथ मंदिर सुभद्रा मैया की जय। श्री प्रभुपाद की जय। नेतार गौरा प्रेमानंदी हरि हरि बोल।
Hari Bol. Thank you, Adya. Thank you so much. So, others can also learn like Adya. So, on the only we have learned this and share the recording with all of you. And you can also learn over a period of time. Yeah, one shloka to two shloka, you can start learning. Okay. And I will share um, the shloka ka, the write-up also and the shloka also. Okay, so you can start learning. So now today we are starting with the second session of Bhagavad Gita course. So last time we heard about Krishna. Yeah, that Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead. He is the creator of the all the universes. Yeah, and then we also saw that Krishna comes as a small little boy, so that and he shows so many nice loving pastimes, so that we actually get connected with Krishna. Yeah. So now today, what we are going to do is, today we are going to hear about the entire Mahabharata. Okay, so maybe a few of you might not have read Mahabharata, but it will be good that if you read, okay. It is a very nice, small book, not a small book, but yes, I'll see if I can get a storybook of Mahabharata. Yeah, and then maybe you can just have a copy for yourself. But any which ways, I will cover the entire Mahabharata story. I'll give you a nice flavor of what all happened in the entire Mahabharata and why did this war began and who are the Kauravas, who are the Pandavas. Yeah, I'll tell you everything. But just that now for next 45 minutes to 50 minutes, you should not go anywhere. You should sit nicely in the front of your in the front of your camera on, and just listen to whatever I'm saying. Yeah. So once upon a time, there was this king called king. His name was Shantanu. Yeah? So he was a very powerful king, a very nice and a religious king. Once the king was strolling on the bank of Ganges, on the bank of Ganga, and he saw a very beautiful lady there. Yeah. And he fell in love with the lady. And he asked the lady, yeah, will you marry me? Because Shantanu at that point in time was not married. So he asked the lady that, will you marry me? The lady said that, yes, I will marry you, but I have one condition. And my condition is that you will never stop me from doing anything. If you stop me from doing anything, I will just go away. So Shantanu said, yeah, no problem. You look to be a very nice and a very religious, a pious lady. So I know you will not do anything wrong. So it is fine. Even if you want whatever you want to do, you do. And yes, I would want to marry you. So then then this lady, she marries him. Yeah. Now what happens is after some time, the lady gives birth to a child. And as soon as she's given birth to the child, now Shantanu is very happy. Wow, that he got a child and all. But as soon as this lady gives a birth to the child, she takes the child and she drowns the child in the Ganges. Shantanu is shocked. What is this? My child! My child is drowned in the Ganges. But then she had condition was there that he will not stop her from doing anything. Yeah. Then one child came. That child was drowned in the Ganges. Then they had a second child. The second child was drowned in Ganges. Third child, fourth child, fifth child. Seven children were drowned. She just let them flow in the Ganges. Yeah. Now Shantanu, this king, could not bear it any longer. He said, no, I cannot bear it any longer. This is too much. How can I let all my children die like this? Then when the eighth child came, then he said, no, this is not going to happen. So immediately he stops this lady. You cannot do this to my children. You are just making them die. So please stop. Don't do this. And then she says, let's see, you've stopped me. So now I have to go. Yeah. And then she reveals her identity. She says that I am Ganga. Yeah, I am Mother Ganga. And then she says that this child, this is yours. You take care of this child. Yeah. So this child, so then what happens is Shantanu says that what you do is if you can take care of the child because you are in the heaven, and the heaven, all the all the sages and all that they are there in the heaven. So if you can if you can teach him different skills and help him become a good warrior, yeah, and you can teach him religious practices, that will be very nice. Here I will not be able to teach him this. So Ganga says that's fine. And the Ganga, she takes a child. She takes the child to the heaven. Once what happens is once Shantanu was strolling on the banks of Ganga, suddenly he stopped because Ganga ka flow now is very huge. It's very fierce. Ganga ऐसे आराम से flow नहीं करती. It is like this. Yeah. So Ganga flows very fast. He saw that the flow of Ganga has been suddenly stopped. And then he is wondering how. Till now, I have never seen Ganga's flow being stopped. And how come Ganga's flow has been stopped? Then she sees it. Then he sees that a big, powerful young child is stopping the flow of Ganga with his arrows. And then he says, who are you? And then suddenly Mother Ganga, she comes up. And then she says that he is your son, Bhishma. Yeah. So so eventually his name becomes Bhishma, but I'll keep it Bhishma so that you don't get confused. So he is your son. Yeah.
Mataji, I have a class right now. So can I log out?
Yeah, please. So his son is Bhishma. Yeah, so this is your son. Bhishma उसका नाम बाद में आता है, लेकिन so that you are not confused, we'll keep it Bhishma only. So Bhishma is basically what happens is that now then he is very happy. Wow, such a powerful son and all. So he becomes very happy, that his son is so powerful and all. So then,
Mataji,
please don't talk, beta, unless you have a question. Everyone gets disturbed. What happened? Yeah. If you have any question, please raise your hand. I will give you a chance to ask. Okay. So if you have a class, you can leave. You can see the recording. Yeah. So this son is. So what happens is now, so he's very powerful and all. So Shantanu declares that Bhishma is going to be my successor. Eventually, what happens is Shantanu, once he he falls in love with a lady, Satyavati. Now,
Mani,
Satyavati
like
says that Satyavati says that, if you want to marry me, you will have to ensure that my son becomes the king and not Bhishma becomes the king. So then he is very problem aa gaya ki because it already declared that Bhishma will become the king. So he's very morose. And then because it's very sad, Bhishma sees that his father is very sad. So he asks his father, what happened? Why are you so sad? Then he tells that, I want to marry Satyavati, but she is saying that if you want to marry me, then my son will become the king. So then he's saying, what is the problem? It's absolutely fine. I need not become the king. Her son, let her son become the king. So then he's very happy that, Bhishma, that, he is such a nice and obedient child, that, he's fine with his stepmother's son becoming the king. So he's very happy. Then he marries Satyavati. And from Satyavati, he has a child called Vichitravirya. Yeah. So Vichitravirya, his son, yeah, so Vichitravirya then eventually marries, Ambika and Ambalika. Okay, eventually. So Bhishma abducts the daughters of king of Kashi, Ambika and Ambalika, and Vichitravir, he marries Ambika and Ambalika. Now, Vichitravir doesn't have a good, health, and somehow Vichitravir dies. Okay, in his young age only, he dies. Now, now there is no heir to the throne because Bhishma has made a vow that he wouldn't marry, yeah, and he will remain brahmachari his entire life, yeah. And now Vichitraveer is also dead, so there is no heir to the throne. Now his mother Satyavati is very worried that what should we do? Then she called Vedvya. She called Vyasdev, and she calls him. She tells him that Vyasa. She tells Vyasa that if you can just help, what should we do? So will you help, Ambika and Ambalika to get a son? Now this Vyas, he had a very scary look. बहुत डरावना look था उसका. Yeah. So if you see here, he had a very scary look. So then this Satyavati, she tells that, Ambika and Ambalika, one by one, you please go and, so that you will have a child. So then when she goes, when, this Ambika goes there, Ambika, when she looks at this Vyasa, she gets so scared, because he has a very horrible look. She immediately closes her eyes. Yeah. And, then afterwards, Vyasa said, see, you close your eyes, so you will have a son who will be blind. And then Ambalika is sent. Now, Ambalika is very scared looking at him. She's also very scared. So she like, shivering like that. She's very scared. And then then Vyasa says that you will get a child who will be very weak. He will be powerful, but he will be very weak. Yeah. So now the Satyavati is very worried that one child blind, other child weak. Now how will somebody has to run the throne, so he has to be very powerful. So then what she does is she tells Ambika, Ambika, Ambalika, again you go to Vyasa and again you ask for a child. But now they're very scared. So what they do is they send their maid servant. Yeah? They send their maid servant and then say, you go to Vyasa. Now this maid servant is very confident. She's very nice, confident lady. She goes and because she goes, she's very confident, not scared at all, doesn't close her eyes, and she's very, very composed. So then she gets a son who then he says, Vyasa says, you will have a son who will be very wise. Yeah, who will be very intelligent and who will be very wise. Yeah. So the son who is born blind, his name is, now
Hare
listen very
Krishna
carefully.
Mataji.
His name is Dhritarashtra. Yeah. The son who was born weak, his name was Pandu. And the son who was very wise, his name was Vidura. Yeah, so Vidura was the son of the maid servant. But Dhritarashtra and Pandu were the son of the Queen Satyavati. Yeah. Now what happened is that because the king, now somebody has to rule the affairs. Yeah. So then when Dhritarashtra is blind, so Dhritarashtra cannot rule the affairs. Then what happens is Pandu has to take to rule the affairs. But Pandu, what happens is Pandu is very weak, and Pandu is not interested in running the kingdom and all. He thinks I should just go to the forest, yeah, and I should stay there only in the forest. Now Dhritarashtra gets married to Gandhari. Listen very carefully, everyone listen very carefully, because this is all going to get connected for a little later. So Dhritarashtra gets married to Gandhari, and Pandu gets married to Kunti and Madri. नाम याद रखो, हाँ। गांधारी के साथ मैरी होता है धृतराष्ट्र, और पांडु के साथ मैरी होती है कुंती एंड माद्री, yeah. So then Pandu ruled the kingdom for a few years, and he said, I am not very interested in ruling the kingdom, yeah, so please let me go to the forest, and I will rule the king. I will just spend the time with the sages, and I will just be there. So then Pandu goes. Now when Pandu goes, somebody has to rule the kingdom. So then Dhritarashtra is like on behalf of Pandu, he rules the kingdom. Now Dhritarashtra has a so now but abhi Dhritarashtra to andha hai, and Pandu has gone to the forest. Now they were just thinking that their heirs, मतलब जो उनके बच्चे हैं, they will eventually take up the kingdom. So Pandu had a उसको एक शाप मिला रहता है. पांडु had a bane, yeah. So पांडु को ऐसा शाप रहता है कि that he will not have a son from his wife. So now what to do? So Kunti, now listen very carefully. Kunti had a boon. So once what had happened is that Durvasa Muni came and made, before Kunti's marriage. Durvasa Muni came to her place. Now Durvasa Muni, he was very angry stage. Okay, very angry. उनको छोटी छोटी बातों पे, small things, he used to get very angry, and in that angry mood he used to curse. And left, right, center, he used to curse. Now Kunti Maharani, she did very nice service of the Durvasa Muni, and Durvasa Muni was very happy. So Durvasa Muni said, Kunti, I will give you a boon. मतलब मैं तुमको एक I will give you a boon. Now in the boon, she said that whatever God you call, that God will give you a child. Yeah. So Kunti at that time was not married. So she was thinking, Acha, is it like that? So, yeah. So Kunti, what happened is she tried. Let me try if this boon works. So then she calls Sun God. And then Sun God, he gives her a child. And now she's worried. Sun God says, now you have to take this child. So she's worried, no, but I'm not married. What will people say? When did this child come from? I cannot have a child like this without marriage. So then she's very scared. What to do with this child? Yeah. And Sun God said, no, I cannot take it back. You've asked for it, so I'm giving it to you. So then she's very scared. What does she do is, she takes a big nice basket, she places the child there, and she puts the basket in the water. Yeah, so it flows in the water. Yeah. This child is then eventually, uh, this basket is eventually caught by a charioteer, and then this child is basically Karna. Okay, अब ध्यान रखो नाम Karna. Okay. Now what happens is, when Pandu was supposed to, Pandu was, said, Kunti said, see, after their marriage in the forest, Kunti said, see, I have this boon. I can call for, children. So if you do, tell me, then, I will request those gods. Yeah. So then what happens is, then she asked me, what type of child you want? So then Pandu says, yes, I want a child who will be very just. He will do justice to everyone. He will be very pious, and he will do justice to everyone. So everyone will be happy with him. Yeah. So then she says, yeah, then she calls for Yamraj. Then Yamraj immediately comes, and Yamraj hands over a child to Kunti Maharani. And this child is Yudhishthir. Yeah. So the eldest child of Kunti Maharani is Yudhishthir. ध्यान रखो, बिल्कुल नाम एकदम से ध्यान रखो. Then he says, what other child you want? So then Pandu says, I want one more child. So she said, Acha, so what type of child you want? She said, I want a very strong child who will be very powerful. So then she calls for Vayudev. Yeah. And then Vayudev hands over a child. And this child is Bhima. Okay, Bhima, everyone knows Bhima, right? Big Bhim. So this child is Bhim. Then he says that, I want here, then Pandu says, I want one more child. Yeah. And then she says, I want a child who will be very strong. He will be a good warrior. Yeah. Then she says, then she calls for Indra. And then from Indra, she gets a child, which is Arjuna. So Arjuna is like the best warrior on in the battlefield. Yeah. So he's like Atirati, n number of soldiers he can fight. Yeah. So then he gets a child, Arjuna. Now, Madri is the second wife of Pandu. Madri is very sad that, she doesn't have a child. So then she asks Kunti, then she tells Pandu, can you please tell Kunti Maharani so that I will also have a child? So then Kunti Maharani says, okay. And then Kunti Maharani tells her which mantra to chant. And she tells, you can call for that god, and that god will give you the children. So then she calls for Ashwini Kumaras. And then she gets two twins. I mean, twins. What? Nakul and Sahadev. Very beautiful looking twins. They were strong and very beautiful looking twins. So like that, Pandu has five sons. Okay. So Yudhishthir, Bhima, Arjun, Nakul, and Sahadev. They are nice devotees of Lord Krishna. Now, what happens is that Dhritarashtra at the same time, what? Yeah. At the same time, we see Gandhari was also pregnant at that time, and Gandhari was thinking that I should have child first before Pandu has a child. So, and then the news comes that Yudhishthir was born, and then Gandhari becomes very upset. She becomes really very upset. She says that, what is this? Pandu has a child, and I have not, I have still not given birth to my child. So she gets so upset that she puts her hand on her belly. She bounces her hand on her belly, and the lump of flesh comes out. Yeah. Now this lump of flesh comes out, and then she starts crying. Oh, what did I do? Yeah. At that time, Vyasadeva comes. And Vyasadeva says, don't worry. Vyasadeva takes that lump of flesh and he divides it into 100 pieces. And these 100 pieces he puts into 100 different pots. And then she says, I need one sister, one daughter also. And then he puts one in another pot. So now there are 101 pots. Okay. And then she keeps those pots and she's taking good care of those pots. After certain days, few months, and after certain days, those pots starts hatching. And the first pot which hatched, that point in time, all as inauspicious signs started coming in. The wolves started howling, and there were dark clouds in the sky, or poor bad omens in the air, and all जो बुरा चीज था वो सब होने लगा. And then this child came out. And when this child came out, the child was also crying like a wolf. The child was crying like a wolf. And then Vidura came there. Vidura said, Dhritarashtra, this child is not good. This child is not good. We should just abandon this child. This child is not good for our kingdom. So Dhritarashtra and Gandhari said, no, how can we abandon this child? He is my child. I cannot abandon this child. Yeah. So then they did not listen to Vidura. And this child was Duryodhan. Okay, remember this name. This child was Duryodhan, right? And this Duryodhan was totally not at all God conscious, very jealous, very envious, very selfish. Yeah. So all the bad qualities, you name it, all the bad qualities were there in this Duryodhan. And then slowly, all the other 99 pots got hatched, and all the 99, so like this, Dhritarashtra had 100 children. Okay. 100 children Dhritarashtra had. And all the sons were not really God conscious. So what happened is, now when Dhritarashtra got this, when Pandu gave birth to those 5 Pandavas, and Dhritarashtra had this 100 sons. Later on, what happened? Pandu, he meets an accident, and Pandu dies. In the forest, Pandu dies. Now, how can, and in that fire, in which Padri also goes away with Pandu. So now Kunti is left alone with 5 small children, in the forest. So then Kunti decides that she'll go back to Hastinapur. Hastinapur is the kingdom of, When Dhritarashtra, wherein, he was, the Hastinapur is like capital of the entire earth. And Dhritarashtra and Pandu were ruling the entire earth. It is not that, they were ruling a small part of, this thing. So they were ruling the entire earth. So Pandu, then Kunti Maharani, she takes all the children and she goes to Hastinapur. Now, this happens after a few years. Now, when she comes there, Duryodhan was very pampered child. And because he was staying in the forest, Duryodhan thought that, Dhritarashtra thought that my son is going to become the king. They are not going to come here. Now, so very pampered child. वो बड़े बाप का बिगड़ा हुआ बेटा, something of that sort. A very pampered child. And then, um, uh, and when Pandu's child, the Pandavas came, they were very nice. They were very obedient, very, God conscious, and, very good to everyone. Always had smiling faces, helping everyone. So they were very good children. But Dhritarashtra's son, Duryodhan, was very cunning, a very cunning child. So eventually what happens is that, there was always an enmity which was going on between Dhritarashtra and Dhritarashtra and yeah. So now this boy started growing up. Yeah. So then there was all this boy started growing up. Once what happened is all these boys were playing. They were playing in the field. And somehow their ball goes into the well. And they were all wondering, a ball has gone into the well, how do we remove it? So then they were all discussing among themselves, is that, and then suddenly, a sage, a Brahmin, he comes there. And he's wondering, what are these boys discussing? I think there is some problem. So then all the children say that, our ball has fallen into the well. So can you please help us remove the ball? So this sage who is Dronacharya, okay, remember the name, Dronacharya. So what Dronacharya does is, he takes some grass, okay, some leaves of grass. Grass, pata hai na, it is like blade of grass. So blade of grass he takes. He joins those blade of grass, just like that with few mantras, he joins the blade of grass. Yeah. And he puts the blade, that thing, it forms like a long string. He puts it into the well and he removes the ball outside. And then everyone is like shocked. What is this? Grass is like so thin. Yeah, and he just forms a long chain with it. He puts it into the well and he removes it. So everyone is super, happy. One is that they got this ball, and other was they saw this magic. It was like a magical thing for them. Yeah. So then they all, then they asked him, "Who are you?" So then he says that I am Dronacharya. Yeah. So you can please come to our kingdom. Please come, and we will give whatever you want. Yeah? So he says, I will wait here. You go and tell Bhishma that all this thing happened, and Dronacharya helped us. As soon as Bhishma came to know that this is Dronacharya, immediately he comes there and he asks him that now I was searching for a nice teacher for my grandchildren. Will you help? Will you teach them all the techniques? Yeah, all the techniques of a warrior. Will you please teach them? So then Dronacharya decides, yes, I will teach them. He agrees to teach them. So Dronacharya, depending upon everyone's skill sets, he teaches different skills to all the five Pandavas and the Kauravas. So Dhritarashtra's son are called Kauravas. And Pandavas are like Pandu's sons. So that is clear, right? Kauravas and Pandavas. Dhritarashtra's sons are called Kauravas. Yeah. So then what happens is he teaches them very different kinds of techniques. And he teaches them archery. Now once he takes a test and he asks everyone, what do you see? He put an artificial bird here and he asked them, what do you see? Someone says, I see a big tree. Someone says, I see a branch. Someone say, I see leaves. Someone said, I see a bird. And then when Arjuna's turn came, Arjuna said that I see the bird, I see the branch, I see the bird sitting on the branch, and I see the eye of the bird. Yeah? And then Dronacharya said, shoot. And then immediately Arjuna shoots the arrow and immediately it hits the eye of the bird. Yeah? So Arjuna was a very, very wonderful archer. Yeah, very wonderful archer. So very, very expert archer. So many times, they used to, Dronacharya also used to take a test of them. So once he took a test, he went into the water and he just started, shouting. Help, help. So he put an artificial crocodile in the water, as if, the artificial crocodile is holding his leg. And he started screaming at the top of his voice, help, 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 help. Yeah. And all the, the Kauravas and the 100 sons and the Pandavas, they all rushed there. Yeah. And they all started talking, kya karne ka, kya karne ka. Arjuna came there. Arjuna immediately shot an arrow on the crocodile. And, so he was just saying, so he used to test them also on the presence of mind, on the skill sets and everything. And so Dronacharya gave them Arjuna, Pandavas and Kauravas a very wonderful training. Yeah. Now, Kauravas and Pandavas, they were staying together, but there was a lot of enmity between them. So Bhima was very powerful. Yeah. So remember Bhima, we said we have in that shloka one that we spoke about Bhima. Bhima was very powerful. And Bhima was a ferocious eater. He used to love to eat. Yeah. So, but there was always enmity between Bhima and Duryodhan. So Duryodhan always used to think that, I want to kill this Bhima. This Bhima is such a, headache. He is such a bad person. I just want to kill Bhima. So different techniques he used to do to kill Bhima. Once what happened is they all went to the banks of Ganges, and Bhima and Duryodhan and Duryodhan's uncle Shakuni, they had a plan to kill Bhima. They got a nice cake and then they poisoned the cake. They put poison in that cake. And they, Bhima loves eating. So he said, Bhima, why don't you eat this cake? Eat, eat, eat. It is so nice. They put such a poison that, poison of 100 snakes. It will just, itna poison dara that, he will immediately die. Now, when Bhima ate it, Bhima fainted. As soon as Bhima fainted, they all, Duryodhan just tied him and his brothers, they just tied him with a rope and they threw him in Ganga. And Pandavas did not know. Pandavas thought, ki nahi, theek hai, Bhima is coming or Bhima has already gone home. So they all went home. And this Bhima was in the water, in the Ganges. When Bhima was in the Ganges, floating in the Ganges, that point in time, there were different various snakes. Yeah, the snakes, and they actually started biting Bhima. And when they were biting Bhima, all the poison that was there, they started sucking they nullified the effect of the poison through their venom. So the entire poison which was there in his body, everything got nullified. Yeah. And then what happened? There was Vasuki. Vasuki is king of all the snakes. Then Vasuki had the connection with Kunti. And then he realized, oh, he is Kunti's son. So Vasuki, what he did is, Vasuki gave him some, few bowls of kheer to drink. He said that, this kheer you drink, you will have a power of 10,000 elephants. एक एलिफेंट में तो कितना पावर होता है? He said you will have power of 10,000 elephants. Yeah, so that any Tom, Dick, and Harry will not get affected by that. And then Bhima became so powerful, and he came out of Ganges. And then Duryodhana is shocked. What is this? That we too had tried to kill him, but he came out of it. Yeah. Now what happened is, so he is Duryodhana, he is Shakuni Mama. Yeah, Shakuni Mama is again a character. Okay, so when you read Mahabharata on your own, you will know more about Shakuni Mama, and he is Duryodhana. Okay. So now what happens is these sons were becoming big and all. So once what happened is that Duryodhana and Dhritarashtra just wanted to get rid of them. So Dhritarashtra also had no love. Even if Pandavas were children of his brother, he had no love for them. Like he had only love for his Duryodhan, my Duryodhan. Yeah? And Pandavas. So it was like that. Yeah. So he had no love for the Pandavas. So what happened is he had no love for the Pandavas. So Dhritarashtra and Duryodhan, they actually, Duryodhan actually, he thought of some plan. He thought that I will send them to Lakshagra, Lakshagra. He sent them to some festival there in some interiors, and he thought that he'll build a nice palace. He'll build a nice palace of all the explosive material. We know this pitakas and all that we use that material, right? That material is explosive material. It can just catch fire. So he said that I will build a nice big palace with all the explosive material. Let them stay comfortably, and once they are comfortable, I will burn everything. And Vidura heard this. Vidura came to know about that plan. So Vidura said, okay, let him do whatever he wants to do. So when they were building this nice big palace, Vidura, he managed to make a nice tunnel below this palace so that, whenever this thing happens, all the Pandavas can escape easily. So then, after some time, when Pandavas went and stayed there, when this Lakshagriha was born, Vidura, immediately he told them, run through this palace. And somehow, Kunti Maharani and all the Pandavas, they escaped through this Lakshagriha thing. So it was complete. And then everyone thought, Dhritarashtra thought, Duryodhan thought, all the family members, everyone in Hastinapur, they thought that all the Pandavas are born to death. Okay. So then what happens is now they did not disclose an identity. They thought all the Pandavas and Kunti thought, let us remain hidden. Let us not show that we are alive. Yeah. So they all hid themselves. Now they were acting like they dressed like Brahmins. Yeah, but they were also strong. Brahmin generally थोड़े से they are like इतने ऐसे warrior जैसे नहीं होते, क्षत्रिय जैसे नहीं होते. So they were like big, strong, stout Brahmins. Yeah, they were like that. So once there was this Draupadi Swayamvar which was arranged, yeah, and they understood that they were on their way to that place, and then they understood that there's Draupadi Swayamvar which is happening. So then they participated in the Draupadi Swayamvar. And Draupadi thought that, this Brahmins, and she looked at Arjuna and she fell in love with Arjuna. And then, the thing was that there was a fish which was rotating up at the top. You had to look down and see the reflection of the fish, and the fish was moving. Upar ka fish was moving. So you had to look down and you had to hold an arrow like this. And looking the reflection of the fish, you had to shot an arrow to the eye of the fish. Yeah. So something of that sort. And even that the bow was also a celestial bow. So then when Arjuna's turn came, yeah, but even though he was not a king in a king dress, Draupadi was fine. He was in a Brahmin dress. Draupadi was fine with him. And Draupadi and Arjuna, Arjuna was an expert, in this archery. So he saw in the reflection and he shot the moving fish. And then, like this, Draupadi got married to Arjuna. When all these five brothers, they were all staying in the forest. When the five brothers came with Draupadi, Kunti Maharani was cooking something. Yeah. So then she did not look back. So then everyone said, Maya, see, we have got something today. And then Kunti Maharani did not see. And she said, okay, divide it amongst yourself. And then everyone was shocked. What is this? I mean, she is Draupadi. I mean, how can we divide a lady within four of us or five of us? And then when she realized, oh, it was like a bride which Arjuna had won. And they had to keep the word of their wives. And that is how Draupadi had five husbands. Okay, now you might say ki one lady having five husbands, but there was also a thing in which Draupadi's past life, she had asked for a boon that I want a husband who is very strong, I want a husband who is very just, I want a husband who is very. So she asked five times, and she was granted, okay, tathasu, 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 tathasu. So five times she was granted a boon. So that is why in this life, she got five husbands. Yeah. So something of that sort that you can park and you're not worry too much about it. So Draupadi was the wife of Pandavas, of the five Pandavas. So five Pandavas having one wife, okay, and all her husbands were powerful husbands, yeah. Now, eventually they realize that Dhritarashtra and when Draupadi got married to him, Duryodhana and all that, they understood, yes, oh, she's alive, all these Pandavas are alive, yeah. So now Vidura tells that he tells Dhritarashtra that you should hand over the kingdom to at least half kingdom you should hand over to the Panduputra. So then Dhritarashtra says, no, I'm not going to hand over them to them. But Vidura says, no, that is not right. You should give the kingdom to the Pandavas. Then he says, okay, we will give the kingdom to them, half kingdom. So the worst land, they give him the Khandoprastha, which is like, worse, and they will, grains, crops will also not grow there. No, animals will also not stay there. Living beings will also not stay there. So एकदम घटिया जैसी place थी. एकदम proper, place which is very bad place to stay, and no one would stay there, and total barren land. It was total barren land, and that land was given to these Pandavas. Then Pandavas, they went there and they were thinking what to do with this. Yeah. And then Mayadana, he helped them build a very beautiful palace on that Khandoprastha. Yeah. So beautiful palace was Indraprastha. So that Indraprastha was so beautiful that it had wonderful pillars and different type of floors and big rooms and wonderful gardens and wonderful landscapes. It was very nice. And it was little magical also. So for example, if you think that this is water, then actually it is not water, it is floor. But if you think it is floor, it is actually not floor, it is water. Yeah, so somebody will get mistaken by this. So like that beautiful place it was fixed. Now this then they invited Duryodhana and all, come and see our palace. And Duryodhana was very jealous. What is this? We gave them such useless land, and see what they have built there. They have built a big palace there. So then, then they are very jealous, very jealous. So then they decided that we will have a gambling match, and in that gambling match, we will win everything that they have. Yeah? So जैसे पैसे लगा के खेलते हैं ना, सट्टा खेलते हैं ना पैसे लगा के. So he said like that. So we will have a gambling match. That means you will say, okay, I will bet this. I will bet my house if this happens. I will bet my whatever. I will bet my gold if this happens. Something of that sort. Yeah. So he said, okay. Then they called them. Yeah. So then Shakuni calls Yudhishthir that, why don't you come for a gambling match? No, Yudhishthir is anyway is not interested in gambling match and all. He said, no, I don't want to do this. But because Dhritarashtra said that, please come for the gambling match, she could not avoid the word of his uncle. And Dhritarashtra is Yudhishthir's uncle. So because Dhritarashtra said, then he went. And in that gambling match, this Shakuni Mama, yeah, Shakuni uncle of Duryodhan, he played all the tricks and he won over all the kingdom of uh, Pandavas. He won their gold, he won their everything. They lost in this gambling match. Pura palace chala gaya, kingdom chala gaya. And then when everything was there, then he, put his sons also, put his brothers also on the this thing, and he lost his brothers also. So all Yudhishthira and everyone, they became slaves of Duryodhana. Now only thing that was left was Draupadi. So they thought, they said, okay, now he said, we do not have anything. Duryodhana said, you still have Draupadi. Duryodhana wanted to marry Draupadi, but somehow Arjuna won her. Duryodhana did not win her in that Swayamvar. So he was always jealous that, she was very beautiful. So he wanted to marry her. So he said, now bring Draupadi. He said, no, you cannot bring her. She's the queen. So he said, a queen cannot be, you are servants now. Yeah. So bring Draupadi here. So Draupadi was in her chambers. They just pulled Draupadi, in the entire big assembly hall. And they just pulled her by her hair. The queen, yeah. She's the queen of entire earth. Yeah, because Hastinapur was the capital of the entire earth. Now, this queen of the entire earth was just pulled by her hair and brought into the big assembly, and everyone was sitting there. Bhishma was sitting there, Dhritarashtra was sitting there, all the sages were sitting there, Dronacharya was sitting there, and she was brought in that assembly. Yeah. And then she said, now you, then she said, Duryodhana said, come and sit on my lap. She said, what? Are you crazy? And then she begged to Dhritarashtra, please don't, insult me like this. Yeah, and Duryodhana wanted to see her naked. She said, remove her clothes, remove her sari. She wanted to see her naked. Yeah. So she begged. Now she had 5 powerful husbands who can win the entire world. But all the husbands had become slaves. They couldn't help her. Dhritarashtra was blind with his son. He did not say anything. No one said anything. Yeah. And since the king was not saying anything, no one said, neither Bhishma said anything, no one said anything. Yeah. Draupadi had no choice. She had no choice. She tried to resist, she tried to resist. At the end, she just gave up. She just gave up and she just raised her hands and she called up Krishna. And she said, "Oh Krishna, oh Vasudeva, yeah, oh Dwarkadish, please come and help me." At that point in time, because she called Krishna with such an intensity that please help me. No one in this universe and no one in this world can help me other than you. Krishna came to her rescue. And Krishna provided her unlimited cloth, unlimited cloth. Here down, Dushashan was, pulling her cloth to make her naked. And Krishna was giving her unlimited cloth so that, her body remains covered. And like that, Krishna came to her rescue. Yeah, so this is Draupadi Vastraharan. Yeah. And then since they lost everything, all the Pandavas had to leave the kingdom and go to the forest. They were in the forest for many years. And then the last year, you know, was Adnyatwas. So in this Adnyatwas, in this Adnyatwas, you should not be recognized by anyone. If anyone recognizes you, कि हाँ ये देखो ये भीम है, हाँ ये देखो ये युधिष्ठिर है. If you get recognized by anyone, then you will again have to go for, to the forest for 13 or 14 years. So that was the condition. Yeah. So then Bhima became a cook. Yeah. Then Yudhishthir became advisor to the king. Draupadi became as a dasi, who helps the queen to dress up. Yeah. Arjuna became uh, Yanak. Yeah, he became a dance teacher. Like that, everyone changed their identity. And 1 year entire thing they spent in Adnyatwas. Yeah. After Adnyatwas, they again came up. They again came and they asked for their kingdom. When they asked for their kingdom, the Duryodhana said, "No, I am not going to give them any kingdom and all. Yeah. So I have let them do whatever they want to do." Then Krishna actually went to them. Yeah, Krishna went with a peace proposal. At least give 5 villages to them. You gave them Adnyatwas. They did all this. You told them to go to the forest. They went. And they were there in the forest. Now give them at least 5 villages. You give them. That is called peace proposal. But Duryodhan did not agree. In fact, Duryodhan said, tie up this Krishna. This Krishna is, a big culprit. Yeah, you please tie up Krishna. And that point in time, Krishna shows it Vishwaroop. He became big, 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 big. He could not, Duryodhan could not see, but Dhritarashtra could see. Yeah. He gave him a big, darshan that he is the king of the universe. But Duryodhan did, Dhritarashtra still did not listen. And then Krishna says there is no other option but to wage a war. Now we shall have to wage a war with Krishna and Arjuna, with these Kauravas. They are not going to listen. Yeah. So then, now Krishna said that I am not going to fight in this war. So if you want anything, you let me know. So Duryodhan said that I want your Narayana Sena. And Arjuna said, Krishna, I want you. But Krishna said, see, I'm not going to fight. I am like, I'm not going to hold my weapons in my hand. Why do you want me? So Arjuna said that, wherever Krishna is there, victory definitely has to be there. So Arjuna chooses Krishna and Duryodhana chooses his entire big army. And I said, Duryodhana is very army, this useless Krishna. What is he going to do in this war? I do not want Krishna. But Arjuna said, I want Krishna. Okay. So like this, then this is the war. Now you have the story, right? Now you have a nice background. This is the war. On one side, the crores of people had come there. Yeah, crores and crores of people. On one side, there is Kaurava army. Yeah, led by Duryodhana. And on other side, there is Pandava's army. Yeah, so led by Drupad, the son of Drupad. So that is this big, huge war which is going to happen. Yeah. So this is now when, which I did not put that picture, maybe I forgot. Yeah. So now when the war is about to begin, yeah, so what happens is, Dhritarashtra, just before the war began, Vyasadeva comes to Dhritarashtra and Vyasadeva tells Dhritarashtra that, you are blind, you will not be able to go to the battlefield. Why don't you, I will give you divine eyes so that you can see whatever is happening on the battlefield. Now, Dhritarashtra knows that I am very cunning, I am very selfish, and Krishna is there with Pandavas. It is very difficult for my children to win the war. All my children, all the Kauravas will be killed in the war. I do not want to see them being killed. So he said, no, 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 please don't give this vision to me. Give this vision to Sanjaya. So Sanjaya is the charioteer and like a personal assistant to Dhritarashtra. Okay. So Sanjaya now he gets a divine vision. Sanjaya gets a divine vision from Vyasadev, and now Sanjaya के सामने जैसे टीवी है. Okay, he is seeing the entire battlefield. Okay, he is seeing that whatever is happening on the battlefield. So this is the shloka. Now Dhritarashtra, all the entire assembly has been, the armies have assembled on this battlefield, and now Sanjay is seeing on the battlefield, and Sanjay is asking Dhritarashtra, yeah, Dhritarashtra, watch. How much time do we have? Can we continue for another 5 to 7 minutes? Is that fine? Yeah. Okay, just 5 to 7 minutes. I'll not take long. Okay. धर्मक्षेत्रे कुरुक्षेत्रे समवेतायुयुत्सवः मामका पांडवाश्चैव किम अकुर्वत संजया. So he's asking, Dhritarashtra is asking Sanjaya, Sanjaya, मुझे पता बैटलफील्ड पे क्या हो रहा है. मेरे बच्चे मेरे बच्चे और वो पांडु के बच्चे और वो पांडु के बच्चे. हाँ, मतलब मेरे बच्चे और वो पांडु के बच्चे, what are they doing? My children and Pandu's children, what are they doing on this battlefield? So he is calling this entire battlefield, which is called Kurukshetra, he is calling it a Dharma Kshetra also. Because on this place, lot of, sages and all, they had performed lot of sacrifices there. So this, he knows that this land is not an ordinary land. This land is some, a powerful, pious land. This is, Dharma Kshetra. Yeah. And on this powerful land, it is very difficult for, people, envious people like me to win the war. So because it was on, hold on, I'll come to you, Adhyana, and with, So he said, because this is there, it's very difficult for my children to win. Yeah. So the reason for asking this question is doubtful. He knows that my children are not going to win. He's very fearful. He knows my children are not going to win. Yeah. I will share the audios of this shloka in the group, and we will have a separate shloka session covering 20 to 25 shlokas, and I will take practice of each and every child. Okay. So then what happens is everyone, now the battle is about to begin, and everyone is now blowing their shankha. Yeah. Panchajanyam Rishikesho Deva Dattam Dhananjaha Paundram Dadmo Mahashankham Bhima Karma Vrikodaraha. So actually, Krishna is blowing his conch shell, Arjuna is blowing his conch shell, everyone, all the Rati Maharathis are blowing their conch shell. And when Krishna, Arjuna, and the Pandavas, when they blew their counsel, the hearts of all the Duryodhan and all of, and his army, they all shouted, "Dor lagne laga." Right? They got very scared by just hearing the counsel. Now, this counsel were like, such huge voice came out of that counsel. They got so scared and they got so fearful. Right? See, if any thief, if he's doing going to do a robbery, if any voice comes, he just becomes a little alert and becoming really scared. Similarly, this Duryodhana and his entire army, they got very scared when they heard this counsel being blown by, by Krishna and Pandavas. Yeah. Now Arjuna says, after all these counsels and everything was blown, Arjuna tells Krishna, Krishna, I want to see please take me in the middle of the battlefield. And I want to see Kaurava army and I want to see my army. Yeah? So then, Arjuna is coming in the middle of the battlefield. And everyone is wondering, what is Arjuna doing? The counsels are blown and Arjuna alone is coming into this middle of the battlefield. Bhishma stops. Duryodhana is saying, let us attack. Bhishma stops them. And he says, hold on. Something is going on. And now, in this middle of battlefield, when Arjuna sees Dronacharya is there, Bhishma's grandfather is there, his gurus are there, his cousins are there. He said, I cannot fight this battle. When all my relatives are there, how can I kill my relatives? I do not want to kill my relatives. I cannot fight this battle. His hand started shivering. His body started shaking, sweating. His Gandiva fell from his hand. And he said, I cannot fight this battle. Yeah? And then Arjuna just sat. He just fell down on the seat of his chariot. And now he said, He said that Krishna, even if I win, even if I win, I need time. I need to celebrate, right? So just imagine that there is you get first prize in your school, okay, or maybe at the state level you win the first prize, but you have no one to tell. You have no one to tell that you won the first prize. You think, Arey, there is no celebration. I have no one to tell that I won this prize. So like that, Arjuna is saying that that there will be no enjoyment. Everyone will die in this battle. Then what is the point of winning this war? Then he's saying that uh, if I kill everyone, I will have so many sinful reactions. सब पाप मेरे सर पे लगेगा. So I don't want that sins on my head. I do not want to kill all my brothers and all my acharyas and all my relatives. Yeah. And if everyone is killed, it will all the family tradition will get destroyed because all the men will die. It is not like 4 or 5 men. It is crores of men on the battlefield. They will die and their wives are there at home. Their children are there at home. I do not want to kill them. They will lose, all the family tradition will be lost. Now, and then the first chapter ends here. When Arjuna is totally confused and he says, I cannot fight this battle. Okay. Now, how does Krishna explain Arjuna that why she should fight the battle? Will start from chapter 2, which we will see next time. What I'm going to do is, so chapter 2 will start next time. I will share these 3 shlokas at one go with all of you. Please practice the shlokas, and then I will take a separate shloka session. After 4 or 5 sessions, I will take a separate shloka session, and wherein we will learn all these shlokas of chapter 1, 2, 3, and 4. We'll see how it goes. Okay. So like this, we will end our chapter 1 here, and then we'll start with chapter 2 next time. Any questions? Yes, Adya.
Actually, I
I,
wanted to say the first sloka.
Acha, no problem. No problem. We'll say it little later. Yes, Anvit. Yes, Anvit, beta. Unmute and speak. I can't hear you if you're speaking with her. Daksh, you also have a question?
No, Mom, I don't have a question. Can I speak Panchajanam Hishikesha Shloka?
Acha, okay, no
I
problem.
know
So,
that shloka.
no
I
problem,
know
no
that.
problem. So what we will do is, we will end our
Yes.
session here. Yeah?
Okay.
And maybe we will meet for the next session.